Good afternoon, it's Lindsay. It's Monday, September 15th, 2025. I forgot to say, I wanted to add something that I forgot to mention in that other video. So another thing what they'll do, what narcissistic people will do when they're angry with you or they're trying to get even or get revenge because once you've started to expose them, and this guy acts dumb, I started saying, why are you hoovering me and all this? And he's like, what's that? They play dumb. They know what they're doing. They know all the terminology about narcissistic abuse. They just play dumb to try to gaslight you. That's what they do. But they'll get you to start talking. They start trying to make you feel, and they're very good at doing this. They're very good at getting you to confess things like you're guilty about something. And so all of a sudden, the next thing you know, I start telling him things about that I've been talking to somebody to still try to get answers about things about my legal situation with that probate case. And I sought help to try to find answers about who I really am, who my biological father is, and why, and what's going on with the rest of that unaccounted for money from Allen's estate in Kerrville. Because, there's a lot of strange stuff that's going on, and it seems like this man who was sent into my life to be a handler or acts like a fucking financial advisor, or acts like he's controlling my assets and whatnot, or exploiting me. It seems like he wants to know all this information, right? I'm obligated to tell him things, and it's like, you're not my man. He acts like it's like he tries to act like he's my man, like a manager of my entire life. I guess that's what a handler is, but we're not. It's very difficult to explain because I don't know. I know that somebody is setting him up for this. I know that he was paid by somebody to do this, to ruin my life. And I suspect that the person who sent him into my life was either my aunt, my mother, or my brother. That's what I think, is that this man, the whole time that he's been, because it all started with that court case in 2023, that ironically enough, that's when I met this man, and he became so interested in my finances, it was all fake, but apparently he was, you know what I mean? He's so interested in me, but it was all financial or somehow money motivated, and somehow his agenda was to control me, using via coercive abuse and manipulative things. But somebody was paying him. Somebody was paying him to do this. And that's how evil your own fucking family can be. And I believe my mother, like I said, is directly behind all this shit. Why? To keep me from what's mine, monetarily speaking, and to keep me from the truth, knowing the truth about who my father was, which I believe almost 100% that my biological father was Allen Baldwin, without a doubt. I'm pretty sure that Allen was not my uncle, but I think that he's my biological father, okay? And so they're angry, she's pissed off, she's jealous, she's always hated me, and I don't give up. I don't even want to fucking talk about her anymore. It's not worth it, because she's such a narcissistic person, and her son, but mostly her. I would have to say that throughout my life, and I've talked about this before, my main problem has been her, but now she's gotten all these people to go against me using the fucking mental health. It's my mother. She's the one who started all this shit a long time ago by punishing me because I had a tattoo, forcing me to go see a psychiatrist, gaslighting me to no fucking end. My mother, my so-called mother, Kenny Griffith Baldwin, she's evil toward. I don't want to. I'll never see her again. I really don't, and I don't care. I don't want to. I've accepted that she's already. I have to play in my mind that she's already passed away. Okay, just for a peace of mind for me to have. I have to go about life every day thinking that she's already dead, because I don't want to. She's so toxic, fucking poison. Talk about toxic rosary piece. No, my mother is fucking poison for me as well. It's a good thing I didn't consume this that they tried to fucking kill me with. This is a fucking proof right there. I'm not lying. I swear to God, this was found in my goddamn fucking cup. But my mother is toxic. And I know that people don't believe me. They're probably thinking, no, I assure you that if you don't understand about probate, and if you don't understand about envy and jealousy that runs through families, and about adultery and kids out of adultery and shit, or secrets. Yes, these things come up during probate, and there's a lot of anger and a lot of unresolved trauma that gets brought up to the surface. And my mother has been doing this shit to me my entire life, and now of course it's big time because she's angry because I've been talking about the fucking will from my great grandmother. That there's I've been talking about this shit very openly. Why not? I don't have an attorney. I don't have any legal backup except myself to be my own fucking advocate. I can't afford to pay thousands of fucking dollars on more legal fees. I don't have the money. I don't have that much money. And they know that, but they do. So it seems, but I don't. They want to keep me in a fucking prison. They want me dead. And speaking of which, I showed when he was here the other day in my home inside this house, I showed him the pictures of what this person who I have been consulting with, who told me that they had done some kind of witch spell voodoo on me using a voodoo doll and using photos of me that they buried in Mexico, found a burial plot of some woman who died in a very horrific, abusive way, like maybe someone who was raped, or some woman who they found in some Guadalajara cemetery called Virgen de Guadalupe, Virgen Vieja, some cemetery. Apparently, from what this person says, that my mother and her sister paid $25,000 to some woman named Maria, some witch. And this could all be a fucking lie for all I know, but I don't know. You know, who fucking knows anymore? But apparently in that name Maria, like the fucking maid that I had as a child named Maria, that live-in maid Maria, who was like my mother, who I thought she was my mother. They gaslit me into thinking that she was my mother, because my mother was never fucking around, didn't give a shit about me as a child, so Maria was like my fucking mother. I thought she was for the longest time. I literally thought that the maid Maria was my mom as a child living on Saybrook in Memorial in Houston. I thought that woman was my fucking mother, a Mexican lady. I thought she was my fucking mother because I didn't know any difference. What did I know? I was a stupid, naive child who thought I saw her as a mother figure because my mother basically hated me as a fucking child already. Didn't like me. So anyway, the Maria, of course, is a name which triggers me for whatever reasons. What I just talked about. And I've got such a fucking weird, my life, as I look back as my childhood, my life is just like weird, bizarre shit since I was a kid. It's like they've been plotting against me. It feels like. And my own mother. How can your own mother hate you that much? But it's true, narcissistic mothers hate their fucking daughters. A lot of the times they are in competition with their own fucking daughters because they're envious. And this is common. I'm not the only one who knows about this. There's other women who I'm sure know what I'm talking about. Adult women. I'm talking about adults that are dealing with a narcissistic mother. Men too. But I didn't only have I had a narcissistic father, but my father, it's my mother. I think she did all this to get revenge on him or something, because my mysterious birth, my fake birth certificate, who my real father's or something. And she always disliked Peaches. She never got along with Ben, my supposed father, Ben Baldwin. She never got along with Peaches, Violet Hill Baldwin, his mother. But she got along well with Pops. His father, is Pops my father? I don't fucking know. Okay? And then as talked about before, it gets even more bizarre, because I believe that Ben, my father, the one who I grew up thinking was my father, Ben Baldwin, the one who had a drinking issue, alcohol problem, and died at age like 60 years old, and back in 2003, I think, or 2004. Yeah, he's pretty young. He died from liver failure, supposedly, but that whole thing is a fucking mystery as well. The way they found him dead outside of his apartment, like just dead on top of the fucking manhole in front of the Bermuda Woods apartment that he lived in. They just found him dead there. The staff in the fucking apartment office found him dead in his Bermuda shorts, like he was about to go sailing to the yacht club or something, or an AA meeting. He was probably on his way to a fucking AA meeting. I don't know, but I find that suspicious as well. I think there's more to. I think he was murdered for money, and there's so many weird things that have happened throughout my life. With people dying mysteriously, or money, or just stuff that doesn't add up. That there's something that doesn't make that they're keeping secret. Like I said, why is it when I was living in Los Angeles, California when he died? I get the phone call. I'm working at Liz's Antique Hardware store, and I get a phone call. Oh, Lindsay, you need to hurry up and get back to Houston. Your dad is dying in the hospital. I get a phone call from somebody. I don't know. I think it was somebody was really mad at me once again, threatening me. You better hurry up and get on a plane and get back to Houston, they said. So the very fucking next day, I get on a fucking plane and go to Houston. I believe Carter was with as well. I get there, he's already dead. I go to by the time I get there, he's already at the fucking morgue. So where do I go first? To the morgue, and I get to see his body on the fucking slab in the fucking morgue before they cremated him. That was the last time I saw Ben Baldwin, my supposed father, and he was just dead on the slab in a chapel in the morgue. And I got to I was like, oh my God, I was shocked. I was traumatized. And then the next day, before I can even get a chance to breathe or even grieve, they're already telling me, you better hurry up and go to Bob. You gotta go to Bob. You're going to Bob Gerard, the attorney, to sign papers. I was under so much shock and duress, but they're already shuffling me off to go fucking sign all these goddamn legal documents, because apparently Ben didn't have a will either. Do you really think that a man like that would die without a fucking will? They say that all these people died without a will. Maybe so, but I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't really fucking know, but I'm just telling you, they're always trying to keep shit from me since I was a kid, like secrets about, and I believe that if he did have a will, I may have been in it. Very possibly. I don't know, but they said he died without a will. They say all kinds of shit that could be a lie. And that was in 2004. And there's an obituary of Ben Armistead Baldwin Jr. in the fucking obituary you can read about. He was, I've seen the picture of the obituary. I'm still trying to find his friend Nancy, who's a friend of his AA friend. I think she was his good friend before he died for a long time. And he had another friend in New Hampshire named Pat Smothers. Not Smothers. Pat something. That's a lady here in San Antonio. Pat somebody. Patricia Pat from Laconia, New Hampshire was a good friend of his. He had a friend named Bruce who worked with, he drove a FedEx truck. That was a good friend of his. So I remember all his friends. I remember Charlie at Pasquaney Inn, his friend who owned the Pasquaney Inn on Newfound Lake over there in Bristol where he lived. He lived right on the lake for a while in this condominium, and his good friends down the street, a couple miles, 10 miles, 5 miles down the road was the Pasquaney Inn. We used to go there all the time. He knew the owners really well, and I got to become friends with the owner's kids, Charlie and whatever, somebody. But I remember very well all this stuff. And he lived in Franklin. No, he didn't live in Franklin. He had a newspaper that he bought in Franklin, New Hampshire, called the Journal Transcript, that he owned and managed for a while. And I remember Dot. Dot worked there. I remember a lady named Lee Sharp. I remember her. I remember her kids. I remember going to her house. I remember all these things very vividly, like a photographic memory that I have. I remember all this stuff, but who was he really? Who was So anyway, I was back to how narcissists will make you show them things and get you to confess to things to try to make you feel guilty, like you have to confess to them everything. And so I showed him some pictures of that voodoo thing that apparently was found with photographs of me in a cemetery that they were trying to do death spells on, that they hired this Maria and paid Maria $25,000 to do death spells on me in Mexico. My mother. See, it's laughable, isn't it? It's funny. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's not. I'm trying to like make light of this shit because I'm like, are you serious? Is this a fucking a joke or what? I mean, honestly, they're gonna hire a witch in Mexico to do a death spell on me, and then I find somebody who does this maybe he's an investigator / does some witchcraft or something, or spiritual advising, that I get some help from, and now that's all. It's like, what? But look at the pictures I took. He sent me pictures, and so I took. This is like this pot plant thing of pictures of me that was found in a cemetery, supposedly found in some cemetery in Mexico. But anybody could easily put this thing together in 20 minutes. You know, it's like, and there's a voodoo thing, a voodoo doll, some kind of voodoo thing, whatever kind of black magic that they were doing on me. And there's photographs of me in that pot with that voodoo doll. So they did some kind of death, and this is a picture of what he sent me that he found in a cemetery that Maria was paid to do all this stuff in Mexico, in Guadalajara, supposedly. So I'm not making any of this stuff up. I swear to God. It sounds silly, it sounds crazy, it sounds like I'm a fucking nutcase. But sometimes you don't know who to trust. When you've been lied to and your whole name smeared all over the city, people calling you crazy and discrediting you, then sometimes, well, it's just one thing after the next, like one fucking weird thing after the next nowadays in my life, and I just try to like block it out as best. Like I try to just in my mind imagine that none of it really happened, that it's just all, but it's not just my imagination. But in order for me to get through each day without fucking having a fucking panic attack or losing my breath or I have to kind of like, I have to play like it's not really going on. Like I go into a complete mode of just like denial, like no, none of this is happening, it's all my imagination, you're just but I have to tell myself these things just to survive. But it is really these things are really happening because I've been documenting everything I've been documenting things, so I'm not making this stuff up.